A reminder, members get our exclusive bonus segments, which includes monthly Q&A episodes. As of today, I think 2 are out, something like that. And our little Yes Right Nows, things that Claire and I found got us through the week. They could be literally anything. If you want to get those, you can either, one, become an important member with a 30-day free trial and then $3 or a month or $30 a year at the link in your show notes. Or you can be a paid subscriber to Evil Witches and get all of Claire's other stuff that apparently she wants to quit. Invest now, kids.
It's unfair that you have to live with the person that you made kids with and also have a relationship with them. That's 3 relationships in one, like roommate, partner, and co-parent. And at least 2 of those are very disgusting.
Welcome to Not Right Now, the podcast about parenting through all of this.
We'll be talking about / crashing out over topics like
reproductive rights and who left this granola bar wrapper in their pocket before laundry and or stuffed into the couch or just on the floor. And I'm asking who left it, even though I know exactly who left it.
digital footprints and actual muddy footprints all over the floor and handprints on the glass.
It's not an advice show.
It's a you're not alone and you're also not crazy for screaming in the shower kind of show. I'm Claire Zulke from Evil Witches.
And I'm Quinn Emmett from Important Not Important.
You can find details on anything we talk about in the show notes or at our website, notrightnow.show.
And if you like what you hear today, please share it with a parent who needs it or who might laugh and tell their kids to be quiet. And then drop us a nice little 5-star review.
And reminder, you can send questions or feedback to questions@notrightnow.show.
I'm at home because it's 1,000 fucking degrees outside and I still don't have air conditioning. Though the nice people at Gradient, startup hardware company, they make heat pump air conditioners and heaters for your windows, much better, are sending me a new one because some fucking squirrels ate all my wires, it turns out.
Oh,
It was
that
not their
sucks.
fault.
I'm sorry.
It was not their fault. And they're still sending me a new one. So it's very thoughtful. Fucking squirrels, man. But either way, it's so hot there.
Yeah. For once, it's not boiling hot. It's really nice. Although our house has the way it gets light is that it always gets hot no matter what. So I feel bad that we are still relying on air conditioning, even like on the days we shouldn't.
This kind of blends into like our relationship chit chat. I thought to myself, I walked outside of my office. I was there for a little bit, had to do some things and I left. And as usual, loudly, I stepped out and said, Jesus Christ, it's hot. It's hard to react really any other way. I guess you could choose different words, but it made me think, there's a scientist, wonderful. She's a practicing Christian and a scientist, which is interesting when you're working on climate change. She's the best. Her name is Dr. Catherine Hayhoe. It's down in Texas. And if her whole thing is, and I have so much respect for, is the most important thing you can do about climate is to talk about it. And I think I've made this joke before where when it's like a warm day in December, I try really hard not, and people are like, oh, what a nice day. I'm like, don't fucking ruin it for them.
Yeah.
Don't tell them why, because they're having a nice time. But on days like this here, this heat dome that's been sitting over apparently everywhere but your house for the past week, I really find myself not talking about it, I think, enough, because I try to put up boundaries between my various types of relationships, wife, kids, friends, whatever, who are just trying to go about their fucking days. Like everything is coming down around us. And what am I going to make it worse? But it is the most important thing to be like, yes, have heat waves happened in the past? For sure. Does climate change make these more inevitable? Yeah, we're like 99% sure of that. And we are the ones who've created the bulk of climate change. So it's, yeah. And also they're going to happen more. And I should just have those conversations more. But I've also tried to do things, prep people for it and go, can I give you the real? But I do struggle with it if I'm going to come outside and yell about it.
It feels so trite. You're like, yeah, everyone fucking knows. And,
Well, that's the thing. Everyone fucking does know. It's not 10 years ago, right? But should I call even more attention to it? I don't know.
I don't know. I will say, I don't know why more companies don't do this, and maybe they do, and they just don't pay attention. But I have a friend, and we ironically, but not, compete over when we get a call from the power company telling us that we can get peak savings hours, or like you can earn more if you like reduce electricity between 12 and 5. And then she and I show each other what we saved by, turning off all the things and whatever. And I always win, not to brag, but it's because we have more house, but I don't
Mhm,
know why people
mhm.
don't do that more. Why can't you incentivize and gamify, like, power savings? I don't know why that's not a thing, but, I just my idea of a good time might be different from others.
Well, that's, yeah, that's an understatement. But I feel like, no, once we get to real like VPPs, virtual power plants, you know, with smart meters and bidirectional charging from cars and chargers and smarter appliances and things like that at home, and batteries, obviously, that kind of stuff will be. It already is possible. It's happening in Texas. California's got some of it, but the utilities, who by the way can use your fees, if you didn't know, to lobby against clean energy. They can take your money and use it for lobbying, which is completely fucking insane because they're monopolies. They often stand in the way of that kind of stuff, which is pretty awesome. I'm happy to go on about that forever. So, yeah. What's something you've given up on standards wise?
Just not telling people about climate change.
I don't
That's
know.
your
It's such a weird
standard
thing.
is
Like, I spend so much time in my job about it. I feel like when I walk away from my computer, I don't want to talk about it much or health stuff or whatever, but I should probably more. I don't know. It's a weird thing. Compartmentalization, I guess. I think I'm protecting
mm.
myself.
Well, how about family-wise, I guess is what I mean. Family, childcare, home what's the word? Standards-wise.
I think I've mentioned I don't know if this is giving up. I mean, I've given up in a lot of places. I just say whatever mom wants most of the time, which is great. This morning, the kids were refusing to empty the dishwasher, so I just went and sat out on the front porch and listened to the animals with the dogs instead of yelling at them. And frankly, I think that's a win for everybody involved. Did it get done?
Sure.
I didn't fucking check. I'll probably find out in a few hours when I go to get a dish and there's no dishes, and that's on
Yeah.
me. But I was like, I don't want to do it. They don't want to hear it. They can fucking do it. I'm gonna go sit outside with the dog and listen to the birds wake up. And I was very happy.
Good.
So
That's smart.
sure.
That's harm reduction.
Yeah, right. For everybody. I don't know. One thing we are trying to do is I've had these two, they're like starter music keyboards in a cart from some music shop online because I'm trying to cut down on the Amazon. And because we're trying to do, if they show an interest in something that's not horrific, like apparently BitLife is, and it keeps them in a world where like time is zero sum, keeps them from wanting to do offline stuff, we should support that as much as we can. So that's me trying to give up on yelling at them about being online and instead give other options.
I was just curious
What
because I was
about
talking
you?
with a friend I was just talking with a friend yesterday about their daughter has some high blood sugar thing. I don't know if she's pre-diabetes, but it doesn't matter. But my friend was saying that they were about to enroll their daughter in this camp that she wanted where you, like, basically make cakes and then eat them all, and, like, they're like, "We can't do that. We have to roll back and kinda start, like, rethinking our diet and cooking in a heart healthy manner," and I just took a step back and realized, like, how much shit I let my kids eat, and, like, I kind of was just amazed about how I just made a decision not to let that bother me, I suppose.
Is it something you actively gave up on or you never gave a shit?
Well, I mean, that can go a lot further back. My mom was like a very traditional dinner on the table most nights of the week, and dinner had like a salad with a trad husband who was like, "Where's the protein?" There's no meatless Monday. And Steve is actually like a really picky person. He's better than he used to be, but he's one of those he's not as bad as his dad, but he is a very picky person. So that immediately kind of changed how I would have to cook as a family. Like conceivably I could cook whatever the fuck I wanted and he could eat whatever he wanted, but that's stupid. And the kids to I was gonna say to our credit, not to our credit, to our complete dumb luck, to be clear, are not they don't have allergies and they're not very picky. Like they will really try anything once.
Christ,
Like
that's amazing.
but because of our schedule, because of sports, because of the way Steve doesn't prefer to eat, he thus doesn't cook a lot, like, they just eat either so much going out, like hamburgers, going to the gas station, we've talked about this, buying, like, a tiny baby bottle full of colored sugar and eating that, and
We
j
have not talked about that. What the fuck did you just say?
I said it, that's all there is to say. What else do you need to know? There's no other details, unfortunately. I wish there were. That's
That's the
something that
whole story. Oh
yeah.
my god. Okay. Well, I mean, that can't be that bad. I mean, what do we remember Fun Dip? Remember fucking Fun Dip?
Yeah, Paul had some last week. He got it at an arcade that we went to with some friends. And that's what I'm talking about. But I mean, I justify it by saying, again, they don't avoid anything and they do eat apples. Or if I put out like peppers for them, they do. So that's the deal I've made myself. I'm like, if they do eat fresh fruits and vegetables, and they will try things, then like they can have all the garbage they want. But And just from the not right now of it all, it's like we know about like microplastics, we know about ultra processed foods and whatnot, but I can't blaze this trail.
It sounds like you're really, at least most of the time, which is fucking the best any of us can do, is like looking at it holistically. This is what drives me crazy about when people are like, on like Monday, CNN's like, if you eat too many blueberries, you're gonna fucking die. And on Tuesday, they're like, if you eat this many blueberries a day, like you'll live 10
You'll
extra
live
years. You're like,
forever.
yeah, but what if you fucking smoking and eating Big Macs the rest of the time, but you're still eating 6 blueberries? We don't look at these things holistically. And the more that we can, the better. It's just, any public health person will basically tell you, take any study and ask the real question, which is like, why is this the way it is? And it's because of socioeconomics, essentially, like 1000%. It's like someone's growing
Right.
up in a house where somebody's smoking. Doesn't matter what the fuck you eat, right? All these different things. But looking at it holistically goes a long way and it helps you give up on certain things. And again, like I've been bad about that. Now I tried to draw a line. I bought 48 cookies from Publix. Okay. I know because there were 2 packages that came 24 each. They ate them in 48 hours. I was like, motherfuckers, here's the deal. I will continue to buy cookies because I'm not going to try to demonize dessert because you're pretty good eaters. You cannot eat 48 cookies in 48 hours. You were asleep for 16 of those.
How big were the cookies though? I mean, if we're talking like
No, not tinny. They're like
not a
soft.
thin mint thing. Okay.
No, no, they're like soft
Mhm.
chocolate chip cookies, like standard cookie size. But I was like, much. It's too much.
Well, maybe what you should do is buy more cookies and, like smoking, like just buy cookies
Right.
until they're sick
Okay.
of
You want
them.
to eat that
And
many?
then
Eat the whole pack and let's watch your blood sugar go up and down. Okay, so I want to tell you all about one of my favorite tools I have. It's called Readwise. It has changed my reading, it has changed my parenting, it has changed my work here. It has helped me literally just remember things I read, but also start to tie it all together, to find themes and ideas that connect to how I live and parent and how I show up as a partner, but also in my work and to express my ideas. I've got 300 something books in there, a couple thousand articles, a ton of old tweets. Here's how it works. You highlight stuff in Kindle or whatever, or Readwise's Reader app. It saves it to Readwise, and then every day the app is on your phone or whatever, and it's like, hey, here's 5 of your past highlights. Would you like to review them in 10 seconds? And you do. But here's what's fun. You can also do more, and you can search it all. I can't imagine having this in college. I would have probably graduated easier. Does it help me build a broader understanding of all the niches we work in? Yes. Does it help me build a broader understanding of how it all ties together? Yes. I truly think Readwise will change your reading in your life like it did mine. It all just syncs together once you click a few clicks and hook it up. So, right now they're offering you guys, my listeners, 2 free months of Readwise when you sign up instead of the usual 1 month. Readwise and their reader, which is called Reader. The link to sign up and get that extra month is in the show notes, and it's also here. I'm going to read it to you. It is simple. It is readwise.io/Quinn. That's readwise.io/Quinn. Again, it's right in the show notes for you. Just click it. Please check out Readwise today, support our partners, and never forget what you read ever again, which is not something I thought I'd ever say.
yeah, exactly. I mean,
So
that'll be their problem then.
will it though? For how many until when? Is it still my problem?
And this doesn't tie really into it completely, but maybe sort of is that I used to have an issue because my parents were so healthy and wanted me so badly to eat healthy that I developed an eating disorder because it was like I did not have enough engagement with unhealthy food where it was very precious to me, and I
Uh-huh.
would want like unhealthy. So part of me is so over, I just do not want to police anyone's food. I just don't have it innate to repeat that history.
I
But
think Dana would agree. I was and still remain in part a nightmare about that, but I'm desperately trying to get better about it every day.
yeah, we have a dad on our block who everyone kind of jokes about, like on Halloween, he'll be like, "You guys can have 3 pieces of candy," and like it goes
I
away.
know that guy.
But
It's fucking terrible.
but
Yeah.
anyway, despite all of my attempted to show takes all kinds and whatever moderation all kinds, I did get body shamed. I texted you yesterday. James
Oh
was
yeah.
yeah, I
This
was wearing my
motherfucker.
yeah. I'm not kidding. The workouts I do often involve a lot of walking, squat walking, like jump
Mhm,
squats, step
mhm,
ups, a lot of thigh kind of stuff. And, in my life, I've had various times where I haven't had, but I lost a bunch of weight and I've learned that like certain things don't come with weight loss, and I've learned I'd rather just walk around with cellulite and not worry about it than fucking tear myself up about it. But so
mhm.
James pointed out, he said, "Why are your legs so flabby yesterday?" Because I was wearing my like
Word
workout
for
shorts.
word?
Yeah, yeah, basically. And where did I start? I think I started, like, at the cellular level, literally, where I was like, "This is, like, how my cells come together. This is how my legs
And
look because that's just the way
uh-huh,
they are." And then I got, like, mad, I was like, "And by the way, my body is awesome because I gave birth 2 times and
uh-huh.
I walk around all the time," which is none of that makes sense, and you don't have to have given birth to have an awesome body, obviously. And I texted a girlfriend of mine who has 2 boys, and she was like, "I think sometimes they just like to, like, be a dick," basically, and I was like, "I
That
agree," Yeah, and I could tell I was like, "What do you want me to say? You watch me literally strength train all the time," and I don't know. It was just kinda wild, but I was like, "I hope that you are married to a person with a lot of cellulite." You'll be like, "I'm glad my mom walked around in
but
those
here's the thing,
disgusting
this
short
comes back
shorts."
to we talked about that one time briefly. God, it might have been in, like, one of our if not the first episode about it is about whether it's the mom's job to train the dumb fuck boys to be a human and treat either their boyfriends or their girlfriends or whatever they have later to not say, "Why are your legs so flabby?" Like, baseline. Is that your
Yeah.
fucking job, or do you get to be mad in isolation?
Yeah. Well, and part of me too is like, you should know actually about what cellulite is. There's a part of me that's like sincerely like you should understand that's just like a thing that just happens to bodies. Like literally,
Yeah.
like that's just how bodies are made. But I did kind of just troll him about it for the rest of the day. We played like in the backyard at the end of the day, which is like mother of the year. And James was like, it's fun and whatever. I was like, I'm fun even despite my flabby legs. And so,
Yeah, I
so
think once they get to a certain point, you can really make them feel like shit, and it is one of my favorite things. I try to be strategic. Like, for example, it's July 31st, and I haven't gotten a Father's Day card yet from anyone, and every day I'm just poking the beast every day. In fact, at one point, one of them actually said they were so tired of hearing from me about it. One of them said, "We got you a birthday card last year." I was like, "Okay,
that's hilarious. That's
okay,
so awful. That's like saying I hugged you yesterday.
yeah, uh-huh." So, speaking of things you haven't given up on, tell me
Uh,
what is Bit Life?
okay, so this is the game that James is playing, and he and Paul often talk about these games that are some kind of simulator. I don't know if you've heard if your kids play these. I don't even know
Girl,
what
I was such
it'll
a
be
nerd. I
like.
played Flight Simulator. Is that what you're talking? Played like Sim City.
I think it is like a sim, these different sim things. So there's one where there's like a farm simulator. I don't know. It's just like background noise when they talk about this. And he did say, I have a girlfriend a couple of weeks ago. He told me, and I was like, what? Yeah, I made that same face
Excuse
that you
me.
did. Yeah. And he said, no, it's in this game. And I was like, what are you doing in this game?
In the game in
Immediately.
Canada. Uh-huh.
And he's like, "Oh," like, "we just met each other." He seemed, like, irritated that I was even asking about it, and I asked a couple questions just to do some very light investigative work to make sure that there's no addresses being exchanged or, like, dirty talk, but I have to admit I forgot about it. I forgot about this conversation until 2 nights ago when Steve told me that for some reason, James like, compulsively takes screenshots whenever he's playing something on the iPad. I don't know why he does that. And they all you're nodding. Do your kids do this or this you've heard of
It's eating
this?
up all of my storage, but continue.
Yeah, so Steve's always mad about his storage or he can't find his pictures because there's all these, like, clips from whatever, Retro Bowl. So, Paul said, James is playing this game, like, you shouldn't, like, check it out." And Steve looked at the screen grab said things like, "You and your girlfriend what did they say? You're pleasuring your girlfriend. What are her pleasure levels tonight?" And
What the fuck?
another one said, "You and your lady broke the bed last night. Congratulations." There are all of these things. Yeah. And I looked up this thing, BitLife. Literally, the avatar is a sperm. If you Google it, it is a sperm. And I was like,
Is there re
people, I, I'm not kidding. And I was like, people have to know, like kids are playing this game. And like Google is this game for
So
kids? And I think on its own site, it says this game is not for kids. So there's no scandal. Like the scandal is that we completely dropped the ball on whatever like our kid was playing. So first I told Paul, I was like, thank you for telling us. That was a good call. Like you did the right thing, like letting us know about that. And he's like, don't let him know that I told you. We're like, well, he leaves screenshots everywhere. And he
we
told
got it.
me, like, So you're in the clear. And I told James, I was like, "You're not in trouble. Like, this is not your fault." But I was like, "This is not for you. You're not playing this game anymore." And he's like, "But you learn things." And I was like, "I don't care. It's not for kids." So when I first heard about this, I just felt horrible, like just very sad and stupid, and yeah, I don't know. I had to just keep moving on. What are you gonna do? I just yesterday I was like, "See, did you take that game off the device?" And he's like, "I haven't checked yet." So I was like, "Okay, great. We continue to kill it. Like we're still obviously doing everything we can." But I was telling Steve, I was like, the first time James pleasures a person, he'd be like wondering where the bar is, like the status bar of pleasure level.
Answer, it's never going to be complete. So
I
you're
know.
welcome. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like the yelling, the scream fan, the fan, whatever. At
Uh-huh.
a
Uh-huh. And the
yeah,
more you think about it, the further down it goes. It's going to be great.
yeah.
That's incredible. Wow. That's awesome.
So bet life, don't be like me, but just keep an eye out for anyone listening that it's not for kids. But who knows? I don't know if
That's
they heard it,
incredible.
he heard about through Roblox or I have no idea where these things come from, and I don't want to know.
That's amazing. Before we go any farther, administratively, we're going to take an August break. You got all kinds of travel and fun stuff like that, and a thousand other things. And also, everybody needs a break. We're doing a thousand things at work. I did think, and I haven't even brought this up to you, it might be fun to like ask people to send in stuff for like a back to school type Q&A we could answer, questions, thoughts, rants, anything
Yeah,
you want.
maybe some
And we
rants.
can,
I would love like some voice memos from people about just like what they're not right now is of back to school stuff, like
mhm,
whether school supplies or school calendar or
yeah,
setting up meetings, things like that. Like,
literally anything. We'll take it and we'll parse through them. It feels like this is what we're made for. But otherwise, I wanted to talk. And you had a really great segue here that I wrote down because I would otherwise forget about cooking for your husband, that you don't have to necessarily accommodate how picky he is, but you do. And you found this great evergreen Q&A question we got. And again, we usually put them in our members only feed, but it's more fun, I think, to share this one with everybody. And then otherwise, please also pay us money. So here's the comment, and apologies to whoever wrote in. I think it was a while ago. It was, "I'm loving the podcast. It's nice to listen to people who have kids. They're same approximate ages as mine and are grappling with the same stuff. I'm interested in how you both balance spending time with your kids and spending time with your spouse. Of course, that could be your partner, whatever it is." They said, "I know this time where they want to be with us is fleeting, but sometimes I just want to have a dinner out with my husband. I find this also happens around bedtime. My daughter definitely wants to chat at bedtime, and then suddenly it's after 10, and I have to put myself to bed, and there goes our shared TV watching time. Is this just the season of life we're in, and can I spend time with him after the kids are in a more social phase? Would love your thoughts." And boy, do I feel this one. Let's dig into it. Your boys are going to sleepaway camp. How long are they going for? Have they ever both been away? Do
yeah,
you have
they've both
plans
been away.
individually and together? Did you figure out any best practices from last time that you're going to apply this time? Hit me.
No best practices. They will both be going. This will be through the first time that they both have gone before. So we're not worrying about any first time stuff. Steve has some work thing coming down the pike on him, but he never knows quite when it will hit him. So we have one definite plan. My brother and his husband always give us gift cards to fancy Chicago restaurants that are great, but they're always far away. And so it's hard to just like want to go out for dinner with a sitter
Mhm.
and just do that whole thing. So I think we'll go to this restaurant in the West Loop somewhere. And then I want to go golfing with him during the day because we never get that's a very luxurious thing to do and there'll be no kid pickup. But he's already inclined to wanna stick around for he doesn't wanna promise anything because of work. So he can get very attached to doing his work. Half the time he has client work and he wants to get paid, but he also enjoys his work too. So we'll see. I'm hoping he'll carve out some time for us, but we'll see. Yeah, I don't know. I will admit that sometimes we are so bad about getting out together that once in a while when we actually do, I think we did for my birthday maybe or Mother's Day. I think my birthday. It takes me a second to be like, "What the hell are we gonna talk about? This guy
Okay.
for 2 hours, what are we gonna discuss?" And it, like, takes a second. Like, I kind of have
Totally.
more respect for the idea of transitions, like, ever since I had kids, and I'm someone who needs them as well, and I need time to kinda transition from all the bullshit here in front of our house to being like, "Oh, we were people once before all this,
Mhm.
and, maybe we will be again someday." So, I don't know, how are you and Dana at setting aside cherished matrimonial
Yeah, I
time?
mean, and I think we can come back to just also like both of our sort of day-to-day experiences. Getting away, we get this on our honeymoon. we got this advice from someone who'd been married for a long time, and they were like, make sure to make time for each other. And then we didn't go on a vacation, just the two of us, for 10 years. And, we had
Mhm.
3 kids in 3 years, but still working hard, this and that. And I remember the first time I said to Dana, listen, I think we like need to get away, just the two of us for a
Mhm.
substantial period of time, like more than 24 hours. And she said, and I quote, fuck you, get out of the room. That's when I was like, this is what I mean. I think we need to get
Yeah.
away. We eventually did, and it was amazing. And we were like, oh, okay, we need to do this more. But also, we know it's going to be hard, and we eventually want to travel more with the kids. And then COVID happened, and this, and we didn't do much related to all that. When they were younger, we used to be really good about date nights. And I think it's a few things. I would say out of the month, honestly, like 3 out of 4 Saturdays, we would do a date night. I think it was a few things. We had our full-time nanny, Pisha, who's the greatest person alive. My mother-in-law was down the street. She couldn't like really as much get the kids to bed because it's a fucking lot and she's a little older. But I think maybe the most important piece was that because they were all so close in age and pre-COVID they were younger, they all went to bed at like 6:30.
Mhm.
So we could honestly get them most of the way to sleep and still bail with a reasonable dinner reservation. So
Yeah.
grandma, like your job is to sit on the couch and Netflix. Like you don't actually have to
Right.
do anything. And that was really easy. And I wondered for a
Hmm.
long time on this. I didn't realize that part for a long time. Now they're fucking up so late. I think there was a period where they were still a pain in the ass. Now I think it'd be easier. We could get back to it. Dina doesn't love staying out. And by the way, I'll eat dinner 5 o'clock. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
I'll come home before the sun goes down. So we're on a big cleaning streak right now. As you can imagine, I'm very annoying about it to my children, but we're trying to dial it down to the essentials at home. So whether you're an appliance, a piece of furniture, or clothing, whatever, you got to earn your spot. Everything's got a place, everything has utility, which is hard with kids who constantly bring things into the house and all their stuff. And it's really hard when you're trying to feed them constantly. And there are various appliances that are advertised to you that can literally do one thing that honestly can't justify the counter space. But I'll tell you what does. It's the Mill food recycler. And holy cow, does it ever. It doesn't even go on the counter, by the way. It goes on the floor like a sexy trash can. It plugs into a standard outlet, and voila, no more food waste. Got peels, bones, stalks, whatever, leftovers, put them in there, and then while you sleep, the mill automatically turns on, dries, and grinds them, and it doesn't smell at all. It's crazy. Again, let's rehash. Not only does it not stink up the house, or 2, cause leaky trash bags, which are disgusting, and 3, send leftover food to the landfill to turn into waste and then methane and then rising oceans. It actually makes you feel good because it grinds up all of your food waste into these adorable grounds you can use in the garden, you can give to a local farm, you can put them right in the green bin, you can even ship back to mill via postal service pickups like it's Netflix in 2003. Anyways, a delight, a game changer. You guys can get $75 off right now when you go to our special site. I'm going to read it to you, but you should know the link is right in the show notes and you can just smash your finger against it. It's mill.com/LP/important dash not dash important. Can I remember that? No, that's why we put the link right in the show notes. So anyways, huge thanks to Mill for doing the right thing and trying to cut down on food waste, most of which comes from our homes, for sponsoring our work, and of course, thanks to you listeners for always supporting our partners. But I think it's flexing that muscle again, like finding time to do it. It's hard because you do want to hang out with the kids, but we're like, yes, but one night a week at most, or at least either way, whatever your resources are, like, you got to make a little time. And it's hard. We've talked about the daytime thing, like you said, with the golfing. We're like, if we just go out to like breakfast, is that crazy? But I feel like the
Mhm.
kids are more likely to be annoying then about wanting to see us. I don't know. It's a hard one. Now, the last year has been a little crazy because of all the Wicked stuff. We did last spring, we went away for a few days to Paris and London, which was extravagant for us, but nice and easier to get to from the East Coast. And then, we did a little traveling for the Wicked stuff explicitly. Doesn't totally count, but it's been hard to find a window to
Mm.
do anything more. But I think we're going to try to grab a couple days We like to go up to Charlottesville. It's 2 hours away. There's like a little place. We
Mm.
literally just do the crossword and sleep. She takes baths and I read a book about dragons,
And they'll
which
stay
is
with the
fine.
grandmas?
Sure. Yeah, I don't
Mhm.
care.
Mm.
We'll try to ship them off, or, maybe Charlotte goes and stays with my brother and his girls or whatever. But, we try to set it up for success, especially if we're going away for a longer one. But even with the Wicked stuff coming up again, I don't know when we're going to do that. But I would like to
Yeah.
get back to it. It's just, it's hard. It's
Yeah.
hard.
I mean, to the person who wrote in, I absolutely we do not hang out after the kids go to bed, like, not even really
Yeah, let's
watching
talk
TV
about the day
time.
to day stuff there. Yeah. So when do your kids go to bed?
Oh god, now it's even, like, more amorphous than it used to be. James is usually in bed around 9, and then Paul will be sort of awake, but usually kinda like, put away around by 10.
Well, I was going to ask that. When are you done with them? That is the question. On like an average night where you don't have 40 activities and shit, which I know is the average night.
Most of the time, Steve has been doing James' bedtime lately, which I appreciate, so I'm usually done around 8:30 or 9.
But Steve's not done.
No, because he does bedtime, he enjoys it more than I do because he's a better person than I am. And so, yeah, and by the time he comes down, I'm like, I just wanna be done talking to people. I'm waving
Hmm.
my hands in front of my face to indicate cone of silence, like, the veil has
Yeah.
come down, and I don't wanna talk. I wanna start maybe going to bed as well. And again, he built an office over our garage, so that's where his office space, and he goes and he likes to practice, like, doing animation stuff, or he'll make work stuff, or he will, like, have a cigar and watch something on his laptop, or read one of his old man nonfiction books, and we
Hmm.
both really like our downtime, so I think one thing that does work for us actually is, like, a cheeky little lunch or breakfast if the kids are at school and we have a weird day off or there's some
Hmm.
meeting, and I feel like that is more fun, and more realistic of our energy levels, like, again, his eating thing kinda puts restaurants as, like, a non-starter, like, it's not very exciting for him to go to fancy restaurants, so that's, like, not a thing that we do, and the traveling is we're at a weird age for it where like, my parents are too old, Steve's parents are too connected to their cats to wanna travel to hang out with their grandkids, so I think one thing my parents did that I'm kind of shocked and impressed that they did was that a couple times they hired someone, like a local teacher or babysitter to stay with my brother and me, like, kind of a rando while they went on a trip, and, I would feel too bad asking someone to do that more than I would be worried about
Hmm.
my kids, and so I don't see that happening, but,
Do you
um
think they just didn't give a shit about that person's feelings or that rando's feelings?
I
Or
think they paid them
mhm,
quite well,
mhm,
so
enough
that was
enough to
probably
be like, whatever happens.
yeah, yeah,
Mm,
exactly. So
mm.
and also that was like a work trip, so I think that probably helps that it was like, semi-mandatory slash paid for possibly, like, that my dad had.
Let's say downstairs at 8:30 when you did, and you both,
Mhm.
were like, "Okay, I need a minute to, like, detox." Is there something you could find that could satisfy both of you? Is there something like he watches on his laptop that you guys could watch, but doesn't require talking to people? Like, you're next to each other.
We both kind of like our space. Every now and then we'll watch like an episode of Poker Face. I almost called it Pokemon. Wow. Poker
Mhm.
Face together, and something he does that's very nice is he does a good foot rub, which I deserve. And
Yeah.
so every once in a while we'll hang out and do that. But I think that because usually at the end of that evening we've been spending so much time together as a group that we just crave
Mm.
our quiet time and sort of space. So I did go with him every once in a while. He'll go have a drink like a daytime, like a happy hour kinda drink at one of the local breweries, and every blue moon, I'll go and join him. I just don't like, not to be whatever, I don't wanna hang out in bars like the way I used to. Call me crazy, but they're, like, not quite as fun if you don't drink alcohol, and I don't mind, like, once in a while, but not all the time. So, a couple weeks ago, he went down I was just, like, in a funny mood, so I went down and joined him at the local bar. We both had our drinks and were kind of talking about these little kids running around, and he was so excited that I had joined, like, that I almost was like, "Okay, alright, fine, like, enough. Alright, I noticed.
Mhm.
I get it."
Did you have a good time?
Sure. He kept talking to me and touching me, but, I mean, otherwise, it was nice.
That's exactly how Dana feels. She's like, I mean, it's fine. I wish he would sit farther away, but other than that, sure, whatever,
Yeah.
whatever.
It's funny because like, whatever line of communication I'm in, I should be in that should be making me feel, like, bad about, like, how much dating time we are like, I don't feel very bad about it right now, I guess. If you spend enough time around people whose spouses are awful, like, you're like, "You know what? Wanting to be around you sometimes is fine, and it's not a sin to not wanna
Mhm.
be around you constantly."
Sure. And by the way, if that's a mutual understanding, I'm not gonna say everybody wins, but everybody survives. you know?
Yeah.
And it's hard to get to that point. It's hard for even one person to have that self-awareness, much less like the understanding or not take it and be gnarly about it, or when that just comes off because not, Dana and I, so day to day, like again, our kids are up later and activities and all this shit. But I try to be the closer when I can, but they'll often understandably ask for her. They're like, "This has been great. When is mom coming in?" And I'll either a lot of times they'll say, "He already fucking came in. We're not doing this twice. We have to go to bed too." Or I'll be like, "I don't know. She's in the bath. Like, best wishes."
Mhm.
And or the third one is she'll go in and she'll get into bed and then all bets are off because she's sleeping
Mhm.
there until God
Sure.
knows when. And then somebody
Yeah.
else is mad because there are three of them that she didn't come in there. It's a whole fucking thing. Meanwhile, I'm like, I'm just waiting to watch All Creatures Great and Small. Like, I got them through teeth brushing and all the bullshit.
Mhm.
That is a lot of it's Top Chef, it's All Creatures, it's Great British Baking Show. Very rarely are we allowed to watch my things, which is something I, speaking of giving up on, gave up so long ago. And it's fine because those other things are like Prozac.
What are your things?
Oh, it's spaceships flying up and shit like that.
Okay.
Yeah, she's like, I don't need it. I don't need it.
Right,
She's like, I can
right.
appreciate it from afar, but not at the end of the night. Like,
Yeah.
no
Oh,
thanks.
right now, my favorite thing, and Steve is welcome to sit on the couch with me while I do this, but like doing a crossword puzzle in front of a baseball game, it's just like the perfect amount
Yeah,
of
if I
like,
have work shit to do, baseball is my white noise. I went from
mhm.
being, diehard fans to just I'm a diehard fan of the sport, and it just brings me peace, and I can do anything in the background. She's like, I need to be engaged with something to
Yeah.
turn because her brain never stops. So I get that. So we'll do that, but we don't do much. We'll look up and be like, oh, 9:15, this is terrible.
Mhm.
Sometime later, we'll do the thing of we'll watch the first few minutes of the next episode. Let's see what happens. So we watch the whole thing.
Mm.
And the next day we feel like shit. But we do try to find the time so much these days, at least with her work and the three kids at the age they are and my shit can very much feel like ships passing in the night, which I think is fine and expected, some of the time, once in a while, this and that. But we definitely do try to like find moments of each other. I try to find them more. I think she, for a variety of reasons, you know, would always, but most of the time opt for a bath and her iPad.
We women at this age, we need to respect art. Sometimes we need to like tortoise shell, and just
Oh yeah. What would we call the last episode? Take to the waters.
sometimes we need to not be touched. My God. There was one time where Steve really wanted to go in for a long hug. I love him, but I was having this weird cellular reaction where I was like, I didn't say it because I was so mean, but I really want to be like, I really don't want to be touched right now. It was a really strange,
Oh, that's
visceral
adorable.
reaction.
You don't say it. Dana will just be like, she'll say things like, "It makes my skin crawl." I'm like, "Okay, cool." She's like, "No, I don't mean it like that, but I do."
Oh, I had to tell Steve to stop touching me. He used to touch me while I was cooking, and I finally had to be like, how would you like it if I came up to you while you were, editing something and I started touching your"
To
and
be
he's like, "I would
clear,
like
would
it."
love that.
He would
Love
love it,
that.
yeah, and
Would
I was
love
like
that.
I finally was like, "Don't touch me while I have a knife in my hand." And I was just being serious.
Or when I don't have a knife in my hand, or just not at
Yeah.
all. Yeah, so I definitely look for more. I mean, and again, we've been together, is it 15 years now, something like that. It has been a hell of a 15 years on a lot of fronts. But, again, we're trying to both have the self-awareness of what we need and what we don't and expectations, and it gets fucked up. But there's definitely, there's times where I'll sit in like I like to run her bath for her. It makes me feel like I'm contributing. And then I usually disappear and the dog comes in and I'm made to leave. Sometimes I'll sit there and chat and I can tell at a point she's like, it
You
would be
know,
great if you left.
when her answers get shorter.
Yeah, yeah. When she goes, whatever the text equivalent of haha is. But I want to go back to what this feedback said so
Mm.
specifically, because this is, you know, typical me, my shooting. As my therapist said, shooting all over myself. This person said, I find this happens around bedtime. My daughter definitely wants to chat at bedtime and then it's late. But she says that, time at them is fleeting, but also like time with your spouses can be fleeting or whatever it is. And I wrestle with it all the time. And it's not easy. Like you look up and I don't know about your kids now, but Oliver's like, good night, or goes upstairs, or doesn't go upstairs until someone tells him, and then he's like, taking a shower, go away. In no words or less, but I'm like, he doesn't necessarily want me to put him to bed anymore, so I'll just go down and deal with that by watching spaceships blow up. I'm like, did I miss that? I can't get it back, this and that. So I get it. I wrestle with it, but I do find, at least for us, it is healthy to try to not block out because we can't block out anything these days. Find those moments, even if it's 20 minutes of arrested development on the couch
Yeah.
is something.
Sometimes, like, we'll walk the dog together. It's not very,
Great. It's
nothing
something,
is
but it
happening,
counts.
but yeah, and actually for us, that was a big milestone in terms of leaving the kids home alone. We started doing that during COVID, which sounds so like silly now, but there has to be a first time for everything like that. And that I remember that was like a big deal that we're like, we're walking the dog. We'll be back in 10 minutes. Good luck. But yeah, I
Counts. And again, you got to find those things. If it works, great.
Yeah. Well, I think there's so much pressure, first of all, for all parents to like have this mysterious well of energy at bedtime after you've done everything to like now be nice to everyone at bedtime. And I think it is very impossible to like maintain your relationship in addition to maintaining everything else. But on the other hand, like I think we all forget like how I kind of always joke, I'm like, it's unfair that you have to live with the person that you like made kids with and also have a relationship with them. That's 3 relationships in one, like roommate,
Mhm.
partner and co-parent. And 2 of those, at least 2 of those are very disgusting. So I don't think you'll ever get back to like before kids, but like Steve and I, we joke, we're like, the kids don't want to appreciate us. But I'm like, between the 2 of us, we've kind of done some cool stuff and are sort of cool people. And maybe someday
Sure.
the boys will appreciate it. But more importantly, like we should remember that. Like we're not just like sending each other like monosyllabic text messages about meds being ready and who's doing pickup and, are you adding anything to the shopping list. But yeah, I think getting rid of the ideas of like when it's supposed to happen or what it's supposed to look like, then you can find that time is, you can sneak it in other places the way, Jessica Seinfeld would sneak in vegetables and so many treats.
And I also think I can't remember who wrote the book. I don't have it here. It's a book about just like finding more joy. And it's dumb, but it's like the more you look for it, the more you're going to find it, the more you'll have it and appreciate it. And it's like if you guys, whatever your situation is, happen upon something that like brings you the briefest glimpse of laughing together or whatever it is, whether it requires brain power or it's sexy or it's not, or there's any conversation or none, and it worked, like there's some danger in trying to recreate it, but on the other hand, try to recreate it, even if it's like a super low bar, Because like you said, it could be breakfast or coffee or taking the dog for a fucking walk. If that works, great, because everything is a lot, but everything is a
Mhm.
lot. And, we are collectively, because of everything that's going on, and the news and kids and all that stuff and screens, like our relationships in general are not what they could or probably need to be, whether it's with romantic partners or used to be romantic partners or co-parents or whatever it is, friendships. Like, I do think this is arguably the most important time, not to necessarily prioritize it above everything else, but to, if we're gonna go through hard things, much less find our way out of them and try to build something better, it's helpful to have healthy, if not rock solid, relationships of any kind. Again, friends, stuff
Mhm.
like that, and a co-parent because it's fucking hard.
You can pass on this question if it's too personal, but have you guys ever gotten professional advice on being a couple?
No, we haven't. I feel like we have enough therapists in our family, and we've each done enough of that ourselves. No, we haven't. I'm of the mind that, and I've had 4 different therapists in the past 20 years. I didn't try it before that. And not the most recent one, but the one before that, I had to leave because California couldn't work remotely in Virginia because of the laws. That guy was great. If talk therapy works for you, much less you and your spouse or you and your family or your kid or whatever, great. And if you find the right person, awesome. Whatever your version of it is. Some people just want someone who's going to listen and let you and your spouse or co-parent or whatever get your shit out. Some people want some feedback. Some people want like constructive advice. Tell me what to do. And I've had all versions of that. I find it very valuable with the right person. I also do find, however, sometimes, and again, seeing it as a larger journey, I will get done with a session and feel like I have nothing left to offer the world today because I got hard shit out.
Mhm.
And that's part of it. It's
Mm.
probably better than bottling it up, but it definitely like it can affect me in a negative way beyond the session. I can't just go back to writing about climate change.
You can only have so much fun.
Yeah, but burying things is not great. I think part of the reason we haven't, and not to say we wouldn't have benefited from it or we won't in the future, we don't bury much between the 2 of us.
Mhm.
Like we get shit out, which can be
Mhm.
abrasive in the moment, but then we at least start to get past it versus shoving it down. This is not the best.
Mm,
You know what I mean? And again, not to say there hasn't been, but and not that we haven't done research or talked to individual people about it, but yeah, not yet, I guess is the version
mhm.
I would say. What
Mm,
about you
that's a
guys?
good answer. No, not yet. There was a time, maybe during COVID, I don't remember, where I was kind of serious about wanting to. And I think I learned something interesting, that I think a lot of men hear interested in a marriage counselor as being a huge red flag for divorce. That's like
Hmm.
the,
Sure.
exit ramp for divorce. And I don't think women see it like that. If I recall correctly, I ended up with Steve seeing his own therapist, which was like fine, probably even better, honestly. So no, have not been there, but like I said, just not yet.
It's interesting that point. Yeah, not yet. I'm open to
Mhm.
fucking whatever helps. It's like when I see some of these, there's like a 38-year-old soccer player playing for Liverpool, and they're like, he's 1,000. Look at him go. I'm like, I'll take whatever he's taking. I don't care. So you made a point there where you're like, he saw his own person, which might have even been better. I think for both of us, most of our issues have been either just expectations about rearing children and what marriage is and responsibility and work and stuff, but most of it is each of our own shit.
Mhm.
So having our own, like working out our own shit and then bringing a more constructive, open, compromising version has been helpful for sure. And we also just fucking change over time. I mean, Dana was, when I got out to LA, she'd already been there for 15 years. She had whole relationships in life. I always tell people it's like Washington, D.C. or like a big naval base. Like your work is your life and your life is your work. And they're the same relationships. It's unavoidable.
Mhm.
And so the big social things we go to are always with people she's working with at the moment, or people she had worked with or might work with again in the future, or it's a work party. Where I was like full introvert at that point. I was like, I don't want to talk to anyone. I don't want to make new friends. I don't want to do any of this. I'm
Mhm.
good with the people I've got. That was definitely an issue between us for a long time. And so we would do less social shit, you know?
Mm.
We did more date nights and hanging out together once we had kids. But also just once we got more tired, I think. We're like she caught up to me. She's 6 years older than I am, and she's always like, "Oh, you're catching up to me." I'm like, "That's not quite how it works." But I think energy-wise, like she's caught up to me, which is look, it's fun to once in a while have the big life and do things, but other times I'm like, "Can we just have a quiet moment?" Everything else is loud.
Right. Steve used to be a lot more introverted and shy, and I responded the way a healthy extrovert was like with anger and not
Yeah, we would have
understanding.
these fights all the time, man, about it. She was like, "You fucking hate it here." I'm like,
But I think being a dad actually was, like, great for him, because like, you are all sort of set at the same bar of you've all been disrespected, you've all been
mhm,
through it,
yeah,
you all need to find your own path. I think being a dad, like, liberated him in a lot of ways, like, socially, like, in terms of, and again, being, like, embracing all the uncool things that you wanna do, like reading with a cigar in your garage,
and, I haven't met Steve, but, sounds like he's a good dad, but you've put in your time from the day, from your job and your kids and all that. You're like, "I'm gonna
Yeah.
do my cigar." And that's why when I'm like, "Listen, I need a night to watch spaceships blow up," and she's like, "The same ones you've watched 20 times." I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely." She's like, "That's fine."
Yeah, but, like, Steve and I work in the same building, or not the same building, the same property, so we also just see each other a lot all day long.
Okay, so that's something we couldn't do very well in. We actually did pretty well during COVID, but
Ye
yeah, we need some space. It's interesting, and but you do have that note in here where you're like the age where people are starting to divorce. Have you had
Mm.
any friends where you're like, well, I've seen this coming for a long time, or any surprises, or et cetera, et cetera?
I just had a little bit more, like, experience lately where I've spoken with someone, and I'm like, "How are you?" And they're like, "I'm getting divorced." And then you have to figure out, like, what to say in response, because you might be saying, like, "Good,"
Yeah,
or
finally.
yeah, or "I'm really sorry." And most of the time people are like, "It's pretty good." Like, "I'm sad." There was one woman, I don't know her that well, but her husband traveled all the time for work, and turned out he was cheating on her, like, really bad, had, like, a work girlfriend, and then, all that stuff. But at the same time, you're like, "This tracks. None of this is, surprising to me." But yeah, it's interesting to encounter that. And I have a friend who's very scared of divorce. I think she's fascinated by it and scared of it, so she's always thinking about the other side of it. And I don't know, I've heard about some, like, really intelligent, not intelligent, emotionally intelligent divorces, where people, like, share the same home and communicate really well and things go okay. And then I've heard of, like, absolute nightmares, like where a man is selling the house that his ex-wife and children are currently living in just 'cause, and that kind of thing. So if you're at the stage of life where you're like, the divorce is whatever, it's just like, I hope you're not getting fucked royally. I hope this is not,
Yeah.
I
Right.
hope you're safe, that kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah, it's hard. It's wild. I don't have too many friends that have gone through yet. I definitely have friends or folks that, I haven't done a good job keeping up with that have. I have, probably some friends from, yeah, if the kids run around, I can see that happening to them for sure. They're just like,
Mhm.
they've each found the things that keep them busy. And it's fine. And that's all they've got the energy for is
Right.
fine, but it could be a lot worse type of thing. I see that for sure. Yeah, it's interesting. It definitely can reframe things for you. We try to, when we think about that stuff, like out loud, remind ourselves and each other that we're pretty lucky that it's hard. But again, I think it's almost like how your ambition in general goes down. I guess you're just like, For what? Like, why would
Yeah.
I? When would I have time to do anything that would like? What are you?
I know, that's when I think about that, I'm like, I'm glad I don't hate Steve enough to, like, have to go get divorced because that would just be, like, a lot of time and effort that,
Oh my god, the paperwork, like the whole thing is fuck that. Yeah, take your baths, enjoy it.
yeah.
No, it is wild though. But you have another note here about date nights when one of you drinks and the other doesn't. I think that's
Mm,
also not necessarily divorced, but part of counseling and just America, where everything we love is funded by the NFL and the Defense Department is like alcohol's so prevalent, and a it is the grease for our social network, of which like
mhm,
I am thankful for some, like, important moments in my life, like alcohol maybe actually able to talk to someone, but it's probably also done some really shitty things, and I'm aware of, it just sucks, and it can make people fight and or be tired or make really terrible decisions, whether around driving or family or whatever it might be. And I know for me at least, now 20 I haven't had a drink in 4 years, something like that, and I'm like, I know I feel better, and I'm
mhm.
sure there's 3 fights I've avoided because I just don't. Like, I gave up, it's like, why? It doesn't make anything
Yeah.
better for us at least.
Steve did say that he did articulate a couple of like maybe a year or so ago. And I asked him, it wasn't he didn't volunteer this. Like so he's not a bad guy for saying this, but I said, like, how do you feel about is it weird that I don't drink anymore? Or do you miss me drinking with you? And he said, I do kind of miss my drinking buddy. And and part of that I think is like relating to pre-kids, like back in the day when we had times
Mhm.
like go get day drunk and then watch movies the rest of the day or whatever. But I don't mind. Again, I don't mind going to a bar sometimes or having a non-alcoholic drink, but there are just certain like hangout, like fuck around scenarios where if you're not drinking, it doesn't feel the same. Like he wants to go, like
Sure.
sitting in the backyard, like I'm just much more cognizant of like the bugs, and I want to go inside than,
Right.
or a dinner, one more cocktail or just hanging out at the bar. And I do kind of miss drinking with your spouse and like having a laugh, but at the same
Sure.
time, I would be remiss in remembering the fights, like the wine anger in particular,
Mhm.
and the depression. So I've said this before. In that case, I chose myself over the relationship. Not like it came down to it, wasn't a choice, but I kind of was like, yeah, I guess a relationship is like a little bit less, buddy since I stopped drinking. But I'm not going to figure out how to drink moderately just so we can hang out, at the bar. Like,
Yeah, I mean, we both definitely coming back to date nights, like, there was definitely a period where we both really and I would pick the restaurants in LA or wherever based on not only was the food really good and was it open at 5, but did they make great cocktails? We were never big,
mhm,
like, beer people, wine puts us both to sleep. It was definitely, like, cocktails, and were they really good? And we
mhm.
both really look forward to that, and I think that's probably part of it too. Neither of us drink. And now, of course, there's been a period and they'll make cocktails without the alcohol part or whatever it is. You don't look forward to them in the same way because it's not just
No.
what is the old school quote, like when it hits your lips. It's just like the sweet relief it can provide for a little bit. But then, of
Yeah.
course, I would bet we yelled at each other 20% of the time on the drive home because of fucking nothing,
Yeah.
besides we were just exhausted.
I think that drinking post kids was especially like together. We're like clank. It's we're logging off together. We are agreeing now that
Yeah.
is the time to whatever it is, And so that little symbolic, like together, yeah, that's not a present thing. But again, you choose your choice. I would rather be married to the me that doesn't wake up at 4 in the morning screaming at myself, or getting
Oh, yeah.
really mad at the kids for whatever, but yeah, those were good days. I remember we had a trip between kids where we went to Anguilla and we were, like, drinking rum punch in the ocean, just all this I
Sure, I
know, it's
totally get
great.
it. No, I
I
totally
know,
get
good
it. I
times.
mean, we did all the versions then, man, where you're just like, "We're going up sweating, and it's gonna go off, and it's gonna be great."
Yeah.
And then you're
Yeah,
just
or
suffering, and you're mad, and
we'll wake up late and we'll order in lunch. This is
oh,
pre-kids, and we'll,
yeah.
like yeah, maybe have sex during the day, and then, like, go
Oh,
out
I
for
mean, the
dinner or
world's your
whatever.
oyster. I think, though, that we have enough distance from that by choice and by circumstances now that I really do, and, we're just getting old, where I look back and I'm like, "That was, like, an actual different life. That was a different person. We were in a different relationship, different circumstances, like, different city and time." I'm like, "We're good." And now we're the same way. I have all these I'm the second of 32 cousins, and I love most of them very dearly. And there's this swath in the middle now, mostly young women who are all getting married. And we go to the weddings when they're close and there's not six roommates and stuff like that. And it's great because we'll both really enjoy it, see some folks, and then we're both really good about, and now let's get the fuck out of here when no one will
Oh,
notice.
yeah.
Where before, she's like, well, I'm having a great time. And I'm like, well, that's great for you, but I'm having a terrible time. And then we just fight. And we're like, no, again, it's a
You're
version of the giving
quiet.
up, I guess, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Expectations, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's another thing. Steve and I used to camp together. Used to camp. I think we went twice before we had kids, but that's another thing where I'm like, well, if I'm not drinking, like, I don't wanna be sitting out, like, especially when the kids are up, we're all gonna be up at the same time. You could do that, and I'll stay home and watch the dog, but that's fine.
Mhm.
It's okay. So anyway, like, so sum up for the person who wrote in, I think it's normal to not hang out with your spouse at night after you've had kids or to even want to. And I think the idea of a formal date doesn't need to happen, with going to the downtown restaurant with the reservation and the sitter and all that kind of stuff. But it is good to, like, I think, flex the muscle of getting back sometimes into the character of the person that you maybe were before you had kids.
Yeah, well, that was the thing. Dana used to disappear for an hour and like actually get dressed up, and she's like, I want to not feel like a fucking mom of 3 5-year-olds for a minute, And I'm
Mm,
like, totally
mm,
get that. That's part of it for where, I'd roll out and whatever I have. I was just such a monster. But I don't know. I think like anything, especially with parenting and relationships and everything, again, reading over this and everything we talked about, it's like, it doesn't need to be black or white. You can either
mm,
be, if your kids are the age where they got all activities at night, whatever, you can just, you know, I would instinctively and probably poorly say something like, listen, kids, I'd look at the calendar that might be similar week to week, and I'd say, Monday nights, you're putting yourself to bed. Mom and I are hanging out. That's the fucking deal.
mm,
Try to set expectations a little bit because there's also nights where you're like, of course, intellectually and with love in my heart, I would love to talk to my kids right now, but also like I'm this close to throwing them out the window. And so it's better for everybody if I just go smoke some pot with mom downstairs.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I don't know, but try to set up some hope for it. But
One
it's not
one
always
thing that I recommend, and we haven't done this in a while, but when we did it, we always felt like a genius. Early dinner reservation with a sitter, and then get home right after the sitter puts the kids to bed. Not too
no.
soon because you might have a
Sit in that
shitty
driveway.
sitter. Right. But if you get home at 8:30 or 9, then you still have time to go to bed early basically and watch the Billy
100%.
Joel 5-hour documentary in bed if you need to, or whatever it is that you need, for your early
Um,
bedtime mental health.
it does. I will say though, time flies by, relationships fly by, kids fly by. You look up, they're older, and like maybe you'll have a time and the kids have more of a social life. Again, like not to be a downer, but in a realist way, there's a lot of hard things now. We all go through hard things now. Like you and I text all the time about parenting our parents and all that stuff. It helps where you can, as much as you can control, to feed not just your partner relationship, but any other ones. Simply, if anything, to have a baseline of scaffolding for when things are difficult. Not just we're supposed to have sex twice a week. It's fucking
Mm,
good luck, you
mm,
know? But I do think that helps and in person helps or whatever version. I have a dear friend and he's the only person I text on WhatsApp. Two guys I text on WhatsApp. One's in London, one's in Australia, exclusively during the second half of Liverpool soccer games. I'm like,
mhm.
great, because none of us are going to do that. When else we're going to coordinate our times? Not that's your relationship, but like you can find things and it helps. I find that it helps. I think we could use more of that, more camaraderie these days, but it's hard. It's fucking hard.
Yeah.
So,
No, I think the best solution is to make sure that you spend time with friends and go out and see other people sometimes so that you can bring home some good gossip to your spouse, because that is, like, the one good
Something else to
thing
talk
about
about. Yeah.
being
Should talk
married
other
is
people.
shit talk. Yeah, exactly, like, making fun of if especially if when you can do an impression of, like, your kids to each other, that is, prime if you can clown your kids together. That's, like, the ultimate meat of a relationship.
Yeah, I can't remember who the actor was. Maybe Damon Wayans Jr. I don't know. He gave this
Mhm.
interview and he was like, "What do you and your wife like to do?" He's like, "Oh, we get in bed and just tear our children to pieces and laugh our asses off." And you're like,
Yeah.
"That's great. That's super
Mhm.
healthy." You're
Mhm.
not doing it to them. You're laughing like it's a shared joke that everybody gets. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Fuck on kids.
Fuck them kids. That's it. That's it.
Uh,
So yeah,
uh,
here we'll do a yes right now after this, but
okay.
otherwise, yeah, we're gonna take a lot of August off here. Send us anything related to back to school. Don't give a fuck. Is it your first year without a back to school? Great. Are you a grandparent who's like, good luck? Are you a teacher, who doesn't make enough and is like, God, fuck them kids, and you haven't even met them yet? Don't care. Let us know, and we'll share them and respond to them and whatever else. Because good lord, it's a lot already. It's crazy.
Mm.
Anything else on that front at all, Claire?
No. Like I said, I'm gonna report back and see how this goes. I'm trying out a service that matches you with, like, a calendar keeper, like a virtual assistant, and I'm curious to see if that will make my change my
Ooh,
life. Yeah, so we'll see
that's
what happens
exciting.
when it comes to this. Yeah, I thought it would be great if I could just have a person, some angel I could send every single email that involves scheduling to and have this
S-
person make sense of it, but we'll see what comes of it.
My kid's swim coach, who I swam for, and half the reason we moved here is so that they could learn from this person, couldn't send course emails. You're like,
Mm,
what are the logistics behind what's happening here in this like Microsoft Word document where nothing's formatted right? Are the warm ups
yeah.
today or tomorrow?
Yeah, we had one team was on Team Snap for James's baseball team, the other team is run by Northwestern students, so
Oh,
they were running Google Forms.
half of these. Hold on. Parent View, Game Changer, Canvas, Securely, Meet Mobile, Swimtopia, two different swim meet ones. Our school system now has their own app. It's terrible.
Mm,
Hold on. Parent, what the fuck is this one? It's just called Parent. Oh, Go Guardian, whatever that is. A rain out line for baseball. And I know I deleted some other ones. You're like, every
mhm.
team uses a different one.
Team Snap, Team
Hmm.
Sideline, those are some that we
Hmm.
have. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yes,
Jesus
and so
Christ.
and there's a shared calendar for school, there's a shared calendar for football, and then Paul has confirmation, so he has to go to church every single day, not day, it'll feel like every single day, like every week till this gets done. So yeah, I just want some angel to make it all happen for me, and I'll just show up.
That's it for this week.
You're gonna make it. You're doing great, or you're just doing it, or just you, period.
Just stop right there. But for more, you can hit subscribe right in your podcast player of choice.
Please share our show with another parent in your life or anyone who might get a kick out of listening to what the hell we're going through.
And if you have literally 3 seconds, just push your thumb against the 5-star review button wherever you might be listening.
But no pressure, honestly. We know you're busy.
Head to notrightnow.show for more, or send us feedback, questions, horror stories, doxing, whatever it is, at questions@notrightnow.show.